What's up, my friends? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and I help people navigate through their ascension process. And today I'm going to share with you 7 signs that you are beginning to merge with your higher self. What the heck did you just say, Vic? Merge with your higher self? What are you talking about, man? Let me explain. I don't mean that to be taken too literally. What I mean is that there comes a time in every seeker's journey where they don't need external forms of guidance. Those external forms of guidance, whether they be through tarot cards or just synchronicities out there, they start to be seen as only the pale reflections of the real source of guidance, which is you. This stage I'm talking about is when you do not need to rely on them anymore and you can just be your higher self. You don't have to have the differentiation between you and it. You are it and always have been it. Now you finally can live your life accordingly. But when this happens, it can throw everything for a loop. It can make you feel like you're less spiritual and more pinched off than ever before. Everything's confusing. Nothing's working. What the hell is happening? Oh my goodness. Well, it's that you become, in a sense, your higher self and just have not got the memo. So let this be the memo for you, because it can make life a lot smoother with this information. Sign 1 is you find that you're waiting. You're waiting for the guidance that's just not coming anymore because it's just sitting there and you're looking everywhere except right here. But the way this can happen in a practical sense is for a long time you've been kind of guided along and you've trusted the unfoldment of your path, which seemed to have been, in a sense, laid out for you. You've always known what to do in the time you needed to know, and it's always kind of worked out in a sense. And now you're finding that where you're at on all levels is becoming kind of burdened and riddled with problems and circumstances that are stacking up and accumulating that you don't prefer. Wow, I have become aware I don't like this job, and I've known it for a while, and it only keeps getting suckier, and I don't know what to do. And that is just a metaphor for other situations, relationships, issues in your life. It seems like the unfoldment that I'm always going through is just I'm becoming more and more increasingly aware of how much I don't like certain aspects of my life, and yet what has always worked was waiting for the guidance, but it's not coming. I guess if my faith is being tested, you might wonder. No, you don't need it. You have the guidance. It's just about, what do you see that you don't like? What do you think would be the best way to change it? And do that. It's that simple. Number 2 is you might be getting confusing and conflicting synchronicity. For a long time, my journey, synchronicity was pretty much a source of validation and confirmation and guidance. I would see the numbers and stuff when I was weary, and it would be there to say, hey, this is all connected, you're on the right path. Or I'd have an idea, or I'd have the notion to go do something that involves my life path, and I'd have the synchronicity to say, yeah, go. But there comes a point where you realize that all that synchronicity, again, is just a reflection of you. And there'll become a point where you start to reflect not only that light within you in the form of synchronous types of guidance, but also the issues and the baggage and the fears and all the stuff that you're trying to empty out of, that can be reflected as well. And combine that with the times where you're sort of conflicted. Sometimes a part of you wants out of this job, and then what happens is your job starts to break down and you feel like ideas pop in your head that kind of are all pointing this way out of this life, and then you'll get a promotion and you'll be tempted with more money and things will be like, I don't know what to do. Because part of you isn't really ready to leave that job yet, doesn't feel totally on board. Part, you might have an attachment to it, and part of you does, because you'll be reminded that you don't like this job. So but you'll see the synchronicity and the signs all over the place in different areas, and you'll wonder, well, what's right? What do I do? It was always kind of singular and obvious. Now it's not so clear because you are the one who can now decide which path to follow and when. And number 3, as I mentioned in number 1 a little bit, life situations that are not of your preference begin to stack up and accumulate to a degree you're not used to. Oftentimes you might find that there are cycles that you begin to be kind of aware of. Like, okay, this is breaking down, and initially it caught me off guard, but I've come to trust that when things break down, then new things kind of come in. But you'll just see at this point things breaking down, and nothing is coming in. You're waiting for the new to rush in, which once used to, and sometimes still does, but it's no longer wise to rely on that because a lot of times this is breaking down, what are you going to do about it? And once you take that power, which is just a simple decision and matter of perspective, then you'll get the synchronicity and the guidance, and you can use the manifestation skills in a sense, but in a more of a proactive and co-creative way, rather than just being kind of led around. Number 4 is you will probably at this point be wrestling with the idea of a purpose. And we're back to the purpose, a mission, a purpose. What is it? I want to find it. I don't know what it is, but I know I need to find it. I don't know. I have no idea. I have some ideas, but not enough. Not enough to call it a purpose. And yet you know it's time. But the clarity is not becoming more clear. It's not coming. Again, it's waiting on you, Mrs. Higher Self, to go and find a purpose. What do you all want to do? What do you want to be your purpose? You can pick your purpose. What sounds fun and exciting and fulfilling? Start there. That will lead you towards your purpose. What you think it is now might not be it. But as you walk towards what you think it is, you'll be given other ideas of either clarity that this is not it, but I'm going to go try over here, here, and then there it is. Number 5 is you're starting to probably get glimpses of your power. Realization of just how powerful you are at manifesting and creating your life. How much of an influence you have on your life. The people you meet and run into, the kind of engagements and interactions you have, the type of experiences that flow into your life, it's all part of you, and you're starting to see it clear enough to where you know that you're responsible for all this. And that can initially mess with your head in a number of different ways. For me, I had several distortions, you could say, from that realization. When I realized just how much I could manifest, the next thing I tried to manifest, of course, was I tried to manifest $85 million in the lottery. And that was kind of a stupid thing to pursue so intensely. But I was aware of how powerful I was that I said, you know what? I can do it. It can also put you on quite an ego trip. Some people get really they feel very, I felt like I'm more spiritual than, I'm higher than, So anyways, but that might be kind of coming and going, the whole glimpses of your own power, which will hopefully settle down into a nice humbleness where you can do good with your power, which most of you're going to do anyways, but it can just be a little bit of a challenge for the ego to not dig its dig its claws into and make itself stronger and reaffirming its solidarity with this new taste of power. Number 6, as I mentioned, you might find that old techniques for spiritual divination stop working. For me, it was with the tarot cards. I was like a fanatic. I had 7 or 8 decks. And pretty much for 6, 7 years, anytime I had a real problem, anytime I really needed to know something, or something was really puzzling or troubling me, I could easily flip through the tarot cards and get either a lot more clarity on the issue, or something straight up saying, try this. Or just I would feel A divine message would always come through when I needed it. But then when those situations started stacking up for me more than ever, and I felt like I needed it the most, the cards were not working. I can't tell you how many times I went and sat in my little chair and frantically wrestled through my tarot cards. And all they would do was kind of reflect the mood I had in the present moment. So they were of no help to me. I felt like abandoned and cut off. One of my clients put it perfectly. She said, Victor, when I needed my angels the most, why are they not there? It's because you don't actually need them. I didn't need the cards. It was a disservice to me to keep, what's the word? Reaffirming or reinforcing my dependency. So that the guides or whatever said, no, go ahead, play with those cards. They're not going to tell you anything because you don't need them. So it might not be that for you. And it's not that tarot cards, though I haven't really used them since personally, but you might come back to certain things if it's something that's part of your joy. But you don't need to have that childish sort of reliance on the tools and the techniques if you're going through this stage. Number 7, maybe the most grounded and nifty thing about this is you realize now how much you've already changed. Not by how things are and look sometimes, but by how you're relating and dealing with them. I found that during my greatest struggles, which came later in the journey for me, and things where my faith was being tested more than ever before, and real life situations were popping into my existence so fast, and my former self would have snapped, guaranteed. And yet I found myself able to be the witness a good amount of the time and remain intuitively confident that it was all going to work out. I was not so frazzled by the different things happening in my life. And it was not easy. I struggled a little bit there, but I knew, wow, you are handling this like a freaking champ. You would have never been able to take this amount of stress. You might have that in your own way because you have grown, you have changed, which is why you no longer need some of the things I was discussing and are just, you can wake up out of the dream that you're not even really in and start influencing your life in a very commonsensical, practical, what seems like less spiritual human way, but it's just finally a nice blend of it. There's not the you and then there's the spiritual. It's one thing now. So anyways, the intention of this video is to hopefully help you see what can initially be perceived as these stressful unfoldments of your journey that can be kind of shocking as a positive sign. And perhaps for you, not for everyone, perhaps the message is that it's time to kind of be your own master. Just like in one of my favorite books, which I read even before I took my spiritual journey or whatever, like 14 years ago, it was the book Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse, and it's about this guy who leaves his family and he wants to go out and he wants to become the illustrious one, the enlightened one is what he meant by the illustrious one. And he just went through all these different trials and journeys and met these teachers, and finally he found himself as kind of a decrepit old man doing nothing but carting people across the river on this little boat. And eventually one of the passengers said, "Man, what's up with your eyes? Like, well, you have something in your eyes." He realized that the person was noticing that this passenger noticed that he was the illustrious one. The enlightenment snuck up on him. And he was now the illustrious one. Anyways, that seems like a nice fitting metaphor. I will leave you with that. Have an amazing day. Peace.